like when I took it out of the oven after 1 hour and 30 minutes at 350 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. Okay, whatever, one of those. Okay, so if you want to see how I made this Easter bun in my kitchen at home, you can watch this video. I will put the recipe in the comment section. Enjoy, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's Carrie the chemist here, and today I'm going to be baking in my kitchen. So I will be making Easter bun, a Jamaican recipe that we usually do at Easter time, and it's a quick, easy recipe, and it will include stout. So I have a Guinness stout. It has eggs, does sugar, flour, all the regular stuff that you put in your baking goods, your baking products. We put raisins in there. So I'll just walk you through the different steps as I make this traditional recipe. So if you want to follow along and enjoy this sweet treat, then continue to watch this video. Okay, so I will start with my sugar. So I have 1 cup of brown sugar, and I'm going to omit the honey and the G sugar, just go with the brown sugar today. I will be using a teaspoon of browning. So I will do these individual things and combine my wet ingredient and my dry ingredient, and then walk you through these steps. So as I said, 1 cup of sugar. I'm going to do my teaspoon of browning. So browning is a bit thick, so I'll wait until later on in the step so that I can do the browning, because it's going to be hard to get it out. I'm going to do all my wet ingredients. So let's do 1 cup since the recipe asks for that. So I'll use 2 halves to make my 1 cup. Okay, so I have 1 cup of Guinness. I'll save the rest for later. And then I'm gonna add my cup of sugar. Okay, I'm going to do all the wet ingredients together. So I'll do a teaspoon of vanilla. So let's do 1 teaspoon. So a teaspoon of vanilla. So vanilla is a flavor enhancer, flavoring. So we'll do that. So we have vanilla. Which other wet ingredient do we have? We have molasses. So let's do half a teaspoon of molasses. So half teaspoon of molasses. Yeah, I'm sure it's not half teaspoon, but we'll work with it. Molasses is good. We'll do browning to give it a bit darker color, darker brown color. So I won't do a lot of browning, maybe a teaspoon. Okay, so we do a teaspoon of browning. Okay. So while I'm melting the butter, I'm going to go ahead and do the dry ingredients. So that would be the flour. So I have a clean, dry mixing bowl, and I'm going to use 2 cups of flour. So I have my all-purpose flour. And I'm gonna go ahead and measure my 2 cups. I'm going to aerate it with a sieve. So it's 2 cups of flour, and I'll use baking powder, and that's 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So I'll do 1 per cup. So that's 1 teaspoon to a cup of flour, and then I'll aerate it like so with the sieve. And I'll do my other cup of flour and repeat that process. Flour part. I'll just go ahead and sieve it up. Okay. Alright. We'll set that aside. So for our dry ingredients, I usually add my spices. So I will add nutmeg, allspice. Here's the nutmeg. A little bit of salt. Okay. So we'll do that. So 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon, 2 1/2 mixed spice, my cinnamon powder. Okay. So for cinnamon, we'll do 1/2. So 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon powder goes into my flour. Just 1 teaspoon of mixed spice. Okay. So that doesn't go there very well. So let's try. Okay, let's try 1/2 mixed spice, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, salt, and salt is how many salt we're using? 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So we'll do 1/2 teaspoon is a bit much, so maybe I'll even do just 1/4 of salt. Okay. So we'll do 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay. Alright, so I've had all my spices. I'm just going to blend them in with a whisk. Okay. So I have the dry ingredients in my bowl, and I'm just whisking them with my little whisk here. Incorporate everything into the flour. Alright. Okay, so it smells good. So while I was doing that, I was melting my butter. So I'm just gonna get the melted butter into the stout mixture with my beaten egg, and then let's go. Okay, so we've melted the butter, and the recipe asks for 4 tablespoons of melted butter. So here we are. It's, I can't see much if I have my thing like that. Okay, so here is the melted butter. I'm just going to use my biggest spoon to do 4 tablespoons. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so here we go with our butter. I'm just going to set that aside. And then I'm going to whisk my eggs. Alright. So we can add our wet to our dry or dry to our wet, whichever method you were taught. Usually you make a well in the dry ingredient and add the wet one. So we could do that. So we have all our ingredients. We have our sugar, browning, molasses, vanilla, melted butter, stout, egg. Okay, we need to add raisins. So at what point do we add our raisins? We're gonna add our raisins to the wet ingredients. So how many raisins do we need? We need 1 cup. So we're gonna add 1 cup of raisins. Okay. A little more. So right now we're adding a cup of raisins. I'm adding this to my wet ingredients so that they can soak up some of that moisture and get a bit more soft and fluffy. So I'll let that sit for a few minutes. And I have some mixed fruit that I got from the bulk barn, and I'm going to get maybe half a cup or a cup. I'll see how I feel about it. So I might do half a cup to 1 cup of mixed fruits. Okay guys, so I'm adding a cup of mixed fruits to my recipe. So I'll be adding that to my wet ingredients. Just let that maybe soak for about 10 minutes or so until the raisins are maybe a bit puffy. I'm not tweaking the recipe as I go. Alright, so okay, so I'm gonna add my dry ingredient to my wet ingredient. I have all my spices, all my ingredients are in here now, and we're just going to okay, so you don't want to over mix your butter. So okay. Okay, so this is our butter. It's not too dry. It has a runny consistency, and if you want it to be a drier consistency, you could add maybe 3 cups of flour, but I'm gonna do just the 2 cups of flour and see how that comes out. Okay. Okay guys, so I'm using an 8-inch, what do you call it now, bun tin. So that's the rectangular shape one. That's what we call a bunting. So all of my butter ingredients went into that one 8-inch pan, and I have some cherries that I'm going to put on the top. So I'm going to put my cherry on the top, cherry on the top, cherry on the top. So if you just squash them, push them down in there. So we put enough cherries all the way on the top, on the top. Okay, so there we go. All our cherries are nicely placed on the top of my bun. I'm just gonna pop it in the oven now. Alright, so there we go. So now I'm gonna put it in my oven for 60 minutes at 350 degrees. Is that Fahrenheit or Celsius, you know, whatever. So we'll do that, and let's remove some of this stuff off of the side. Alright, and then I will show you the final product. So check back in 60 minutes. Okay.